Questions and comments. The Honourable Member for Trinity Spadina.
Well, as the proud member of Parliament for Trinity Spadina, I'm proud to represent the only provincial district in 2007 in Ontario that voted for proportional representation. We had to fight the NDP very, very hard to get that put in place. But the prevailing thought of the province was not to go in this direction because of the vagaries of the system. I've just listened to the presentation made by the honourable member, and I understand that there are more details to this proportional representation proposal than are currently in the motion in front of us. For example, this list of 100 people. But if majority rule is the problem that prevents accurate reflection of the general population inside this House, how will a list that doesn't set aside specific seats for a region over a national interest, for women over men, for perhaps even a selection for Aboriginal First Nations people to make sure their voice, like in New Zealand, is protected and heard inside this House? You have got all these details. You have not shared those details with the House, yet you have a very prescribed way of getting to a list of 100 people and allowing the majority to choose. How do you make sure that minorities get a voice in this House if you subject them to majority rule once again through your system?
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je remercie mon collègue de...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague from Trinity Spadina for his question. I think that the idea here is that what we are saying is that we're not saying that we have the perfect plan. Not everything is set in stone. What we are telling you is that there is not just an option of a restricted list. There are many other options. There are many parameters that we can adjust in a mixed proportional system. And I think that there's a way to find the elements that are the most representative of Canada. In Canada, I think the way to strike this balance, where we have both a regional representation and a party proportional representation, and to make sure that all parties can present good candidates and who are representative of Canada. I think there's a way to do that.
Questions and comments. The Honourable Member for High Park, Parkdale-High Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I just need to correct the record. My good friend from Trinity Spadina, I think it was an error when he said that only his riding voted in favor of a previous vote on proportional representation. I would like to reassure him that the good citizens of Parkdale-High Park, where we have two strong NDP members that provincially and federally also voted in favor of proportional representation. But my question to my colleague who gave a very good presentation on this issue is the following. Given the hyper-partisanship of this House that so often turns off Canadians to politics and leads to the dialogue of the deaf in many cases, would she not agree that systems of proportional representation like MMP, the system that the NDP is proposing, which exists in Germany and has a coalition right now of Social Democrats and Conservatives who are able to work together and find common ground, would she not agree this reduces partisanship and in fact leads to better governance for citizens?
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague for her excellent question. I will take this opportunity to talk about something I'm proud of. As the second most collegial member of this House, as decided by our colleagues 2 weeks ago, I am somebody who really doesn't like partisanship, and I find that all too often it renders our debates toxic. And so I think that, as my friend has described, one of the great side effects of proportional representation would to have less partisanship, less partisan rhetoric, and it would force the parties to find common solutions, to dialogue with each other, and focus on what unifies us.